Hi, I'm Gary,
And I'm Sharon, and we're Rough Road RV Life
and we like looking at freedom.
every day. And if you're new to this channel, just a little bit about us. We sold everything we had. We sold our house. We moved into our RV, Rough Road, and now we travel across the United States of America with our two dogs, Tara and Luna. This video is about when things go wrong.
And fortunately, in the couple of years now that we've been full-time RVing, we haven't really had a whole lot of things go wrong, but I could think of 4 or 5 that we're gonna just go over real quick.
Yes, and when we headed into this, of course, we had done our research and we know that, things are gonna break, things are gonna happen, and just be ready for it. So, it's not all rainbows and butterflies and sunshine. There are those other times, but it's how you approach it that makes a difference.
Yes.
So we're gonna share with you, like Gary said, a few things that have happened along the way.
I think the first thing that happened on our trip last year when we were in Colorado, actually at my daughter's house, was that while we were walking the dogs, by some miracle fate, she hurt her knee, fell down on concrete.
Yeah, it took it was a fall. I don't even know what happened. One minute I was upright. I'm blaming it on Luna and a bunny. That's what I'm thinking. But
Luna's a dog.
Yeah, Luna's our dog. And they can't handle bunnies.
No.
Just saying.
So she fell down and smacked her knee pretty hard on concrete. It required a trip to the hospital, emergency room.
I thought sure I broke it because I've had many, many falls. I'm an outdoors person. I had never had a pain like this before. Even a broken bone did not hurt this bad.
I actually had to help her into the RV.
It was like childbirth, y'all. I could feel every bump. I was near hysterical. Not a way you want to be in front of your granddaughter who was watching the whole thing, but anyway.
So that took, how long was that recovery?
I was about a 6 week, 6 to 8 weeks. Anything that I've ever done to myself seems like it's a 6 to 8 week recovery.
But fortunately for us, it landed in a time where we had slotted time to be in Colorado with my daughter. I actually parked at her house.
Yes.
So we didn't have to start rearranging campgrounds and itineraries. So that one kind of worked out okay, except for the issues that she had to go through to recover.
Right. We were very fortunate in that aspect. Now we left. We were going to drive to Oregon, so that was our goal, and meet my daughter there later. So we just kind of shortened that time frame, which meant that it was a quicker trip to Oregon. Yeah. So we camped like every 3 or 4 days versus once a week. So but I hadn't made those reservations, so it wasn't as a big of a deal, although it was a big deal because I couldn't walk for a few days.
Okay, so that was an injury.
Right.
So our next issue that we had was, lo and behold, one day we were sitting at the campground and we could get no power. No power from our pole. First we thought it was the pole. We did all the checks with the meters and all that. And it turned out that our transfer switch had gone bad on the shore power side of it. For those who don't know, there's a shore power side and a generator side. The shore power side stopped working, so we could get no power from the shore power.
So we moved our campsite away. Fortunately, we were in a park where we could do that, so we could run our generator so we could have power.
Right.
We weren't around any neighbors. We told our nearest neighbors, like, hey guys, we've got an issue here. And we were fortunate in that aspect too.
Right. Fortunately, our generator's pretty quiet.
Yeah.
And we were able to actually find a Campers World on the way to our next campsite that was able to get us fixed within a couple of days, staying on their property.
Right.
Which put us, actually we didn't have to cancel any reservations.
No, we had some flexibility in our schedule there. We had a couple of days built in, which usually
we don't.
I'm such a planner. I can't stand to not have a place. So that particular time we did, and we were ready. I'd already contacted the campground in case we couldn't make it. And so that's what we did there. And fortunately, it was something that could get fixed fairly quickly.
We also had our water pump go out too.
Yes, we did.
Same time.
Yes.
So we couldn't do onboard water.
Yeah.
But looking ahead, we didn't have any onboard water parks. Every park we were going to had water at site, so
Right.
that
right,
wasn't a big deal for us then.
Right. Okay, the next issue also has to do with Ruff Road, our motorhome. When we were leaving a park one day to go to another park, and this happened at the beginning of the 2020 season,
Right.
before COVID.
We had a flat tire on our rear inside, and it was so flat that the bead had came loose from the rim of the tire. And I have an air compressor, but when the bead breaks from the tire, you can pump air into it all day long and you're not going to fill that tire. So we had to call, we use CoachNet. We called them up, and it was on a Sunday, and it took them a few hours to get out to us, but eventually they did get there and aired the tire up for us.
It took a while. It felt like an eternity. It was a Sunday.
Right.
But I had made arrangements with the campground that we were at to have an emergency spot if we couldn't get it fixed that day. And I also contacted the other campground, letting them know the situation, that we may be late. So I kind of covered both bases, but fortunately our help got there, tire was fixed,
Yes.
and we were on our way.
And the reason the tire went flat was I have tire pressure monitoring systems on all my tires. It screws onto the valve stem, and it came loose and let the air leak out.
Yeah, so that was another RV related what can go wrong.
Right.
But then this year, well, right after that, it was shortly after, I believe it's the campground after that,
Yes.
that we started hearing more and more about COVID. And
Since we're sheltered.
yeah, I mean, you really, when you are camping or traveling around RV, you're not up on a lot of the news unless you choose to be. I find it very negative, so that's kind of a very bad thing, because I kept hearing about this COVID something.
Yeah, we heard about COVID in Japan
Yeah.
and China, it's overseas, and okay.
Yeah, but it started hitting close to home
Yep.
when we started hearing about Florida state parks closing.
And then lo and behold, we got the knock on the door by the ranger and said the park had to be emptied by Friday
Mm-hmm.
because they were closing the parks. Luckily for us, Friday was actually the day that we were leaving.
Right, but we were leaving to go to another park,
Right.
but those parks were closed.
So we had to go home.
Well, home being our daughter's house in
Right.
Florida. So we went back to, just at the beginning of our 2020 journeys, we had to return home and return to our home base
Right.
and wait it out.
And luckily for us, we weren't in Oregon. We were right up the road in Florida. We were like an hour and a half from home.
Yeah, we were very close.
So it was turned out, once again, we got the luck of the draw there, and we're
Right.
able just to go right up the road back to home.
Now remember me saying that I plan out every single stay that we have.
Yep.
So I had us booked up until, I believe it was August or September
Yeah.
of 2020. And so fortunately, most of those just started falling off. The campgrounds were canceling and just refunding the money and refunding the money
Yeah, week by week.
week by week. But then at some point, and then we had to watch our windows of opportunity. Well, if we leave now, we could still make this reservation. Well, if we leave now, and we waited until a good, safe time that we felt that we could travel.
Mm-hmm.
We waited, and so I did have to cancel, and we did have to have, we lost, reservation fees, and you had to pay a couple cancellation fees, but it wasn't bad.
No.
It wasn't bad at all. And just kind of had to rearrange our plans.
So that's one thing you might want to keep in mind, that something might happen, and you might have to, and if you're like us, if you start rearranging, the snowballs, because we've got it stacked one behind the other,
Right.
and that can get into a problem.
But what I have discovered, and being, fairly new to full-time life,
Right.
we've only been at it traveling a couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
is it's okay to cancel a reservation, and usually the fees aren't that bad. It's,
Yeah.
it's not like the end of the world. So I think that's a lesson I got
Well, a
from
lot of
that.
these being COVID closing, they were just refunding the whole amount.
Right, but I
Right.
mean when I had to close the
Well,
other
yeah,
ones.
when you had to close the
Yeah,
other ones. So.
I've gotten a little more okay with that.
Right.
Because
So-
before I was trying to figure out how to make it all work without
They're
having
not going
fee.
anywhere. You can just see them next year.
Right.
So the next one is is a medical one, which involved yours truly. Now we had centered our traveling around my wife here, finishing hiking the Appalachian Trail.
Right, I've been at it for 14 years.
Yep,
This
and
was
she
the
had
year to
72
finish.
miles left to do the Smoky Mountains, which is an issue because you have to pull permits to walk through the Smoky Mountains.
Right.
So she had all of her permits, all of her gear, all of her itinerary, everything
I had
laid
my
out.
bag packed,
Everything.
ready to go.
And me, I have a tooth go bad. It was a tooth that had a crown on it. The crown broke in half for some reason, and it got infected, get into my gum, and then I had up into my sinuses, over to my ear. So it was giving me a real problem, and I finally threw the towel in and said, I got to go to the dentist. So
yeah,
I went to the dentist and wound up having to schedule an oral surgeon.
you know, it wasn't a simple fix.
No, I was hoping it was just a cavity and a drill, fill, and done, but of course not. Murphy's Law. So luckily, the campground that we were at there for 14 days, which is their limit, 14 days. And we called them and told them we had this medical thing going on, and they were gracious enough to extend us another 5 days, which really helped because it enabled me to get my surgery done. And also she was able to reschedule her hike with the permitting and finish her hike, and so things kind of worked out.
Yeah.
Kudos to them for allowing us that extra 5 days.
Yeah, they did that, and we appreciate it.
But if we couldn't have extended that 5 days, then we would have been sitting in a parking lot or something. I don't know what we would have done.
And still, with that,
Right?
with all that being said,
Yeah.
we had, because the oral surgeon said it's really not a good idea to have this dental work done and hit the road.
Right.
Which was kind of what we were going to do. And he said that if you have any kind of problem, you might have a hard time getting another dentist to look, or oral surgeon to look at this. So I had everything booked where we were going. So at the last minute, I had to sit down and look and say, okay, well, we need to be in this area, because at the time that all this was happening, the receptionist had said, oh, we can't get you in till the beginning of October, which was like 3 weeks away.
Yeah, they were talking
at the time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and so I booked us. First of all, we talked to the campground we were at, and we knew we could stay till this date. And then beginning on that date, I needed to be somewhere else where we could get to this oral surgeon in case we couldn't get the surgery date before then. So I booked that for 2 weeks so that we will be in the area.
But as luck has it, they got me in 4 days.
I know.
I think it was Thursday, and they had me scheduled for that following Monday at 7:30 in the morning, something like that.
Which allowed him us to be closest to where his oral surgeon was up to, in the week following his surgery, so in case he had any problem. So in the end, it all worked out, but we did have to reschedule several of our upcoming reservations, and actually cancel going up into Pennsylvania and a trip to the Ark. That was in our plans. So another year. Yeah. So we rescheduled, moved everything around, and as it turned out, at the time, I won't lie, I was a little bit, my lip might have been hanging a little bit.
She won't lie.
Yeah, no, it was because I actually had to cancel my reservation. I had to redo my reservations twice, right? Did it the first time. Yeah. Yeah, and then I had to change it twice.
I think you canceled it and just rescheduled the whole
thing.
thing.
Yeah, I had to, and I was even thinking I wasn't going to get to go.
Pouty face.
Yeah, I did have a pouty face about that. But as it turned out, I got to go. I also avoided a lot of rain that hit the area right before, so had I gone the week earlier, I would have been out in all that rain and cold. It was cold up there. And also, I have to say, I have loved staying at Panther Creek and now here at Warriors Path State Park. It has been amazing.
It didn't matter that half my head was infected.
It did.
No. Yes, it did. It's all about the hike. Put a hot water bottle on it like they used to do in the old days, right?
Husbands, if you are having a toothache, tell your wife ahead of time. Do not wait until it is an emergency before you let her know that there's a problem.
And if anybody's wondering about that, dental insurance may not cover state to state depending on what your plan is. Mine didn't. It's $468.
Mm-hmm.
Have that done.
We learned
Yeah.
that our dental insurance only covers us if we're in Florida.
Yeah.
Now, when Gary signed up for that, he was told that it is a nationwide plan.
Yeah.
And we still need to investigate that a little bit further, but we couldn't find a provider anywhere, and we're like, what's going on? And we called, and they're like, oh no, you only have providers in Florida.
So, at least it wasn't one of those thousands of dollar things.
Right.
You know?
So check your medical and dental plans and make sure that we thought we were,
Yeah.
but we weren't.
So we've gotten lucky because our water pump and our transfer switch were covered by warranty.
Mm-hmm.
Our flat tire was covered,
Mm-hmm.
and COVID didn't cost us nothing, but the dental thing cost you $468. But
It's probably the most expensive thing that happened,
yeah,
right?
really. So,
But the bottom line is things will come up,
Mhm.
and we do realize we have been extremely fortunate to be in the right area, or we were able to take care of things with minimal disruption.
Yeah.
Even though there was some disruption, it wasn't like the end of the world. So we are very thankful for that, and
we're on several groups, and we've read
there's nightmare
the
stories
nightmare
out there,
stories
yes.
on
And
those.
we're
Oh
just
my goodness.
grateful that we've been lucky.
Yeah.
And even though we've had a few minor things, and we'll probably have we've had other things go wrong, but these are things that, may stop you in your tracks.
Right.
So I would like to just throw in here my new mantra that I developed while hiking. So to keep myself from falling down or tripping or getting hurt, because during COVID times there wasn't a lot of traffic on the trail, but I would just start saying every day, what can go right today? And I would just name it. So what can go right today? We have no problems. We stay healthy. It's a glorious day. Think of all those things. That's me. Okay,
That's
I'm the hopeful optimist, and then we got
me.
Yang over here.
Yeah.
Yin and Yang.
She's got the third eye in the middle of her head, that chakra tarot card reading thing, but I guess I'm just a normal person.
I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
I say, you're so pessimistic, and he says,
I'm just a realist.
it's a realist.
It is what it is at that moment.
Yeah.
And you take it, you deal with it, and you move on.
Right.
And then it's done with, and you just go with it. But at the moment, you got to deal with it.
Right. And you look for a lesson in it, or sometimes, like in this case, I would have never guessed. Like, I didn't want to leave this park. We've been here for 14 days. Tomorrow, we have to leave, and I've just enjoyed it. And this park wasn't even on it was on our original itinerary, and it had to go off because of COVID, and it came back on because of the dental issue, and I have loved it. It's one of my favorite parks now.
The dogs have done well. No
Yes.
issues with them, so.
Yeah. They haven't drugged me down again.
No.
That did happen a couple times the first year.
Truck her down through mud. That was funny.
In front of people. That was the worst.
She went right down a mudslide. Mud all over her
Right
pants.
before we went to
everything.
leave, I was filthy. They're better.
Ducks, geese all around her.
They're so much better. They are so prey driven, but they are so much better. But they have a ways to go. They have their moments, let's just say. So if you like what you see here, subscribe, follow this channel.
Yeah.
We do a lot of campground reviews.
Yes, we do.
And then we just share what happens to us as we're traveling. I think we're going to have an upcoming one on how do you cope with one bathroom and 2 people. So that'll be
another
that'll be future. So
I think we already know the answer to that one, but we'll do a video anyway.
Guys, find a tree. No, I'm not.
I tell her, I said, I can walk around back. Oh, people will be out there.
So, like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know. Maybe you've had some interesting stories about, how you may have been sidelined on your trip, or how, some great thing that came from something that you thought was not a great thing.
Yes.
Leave a comment. Let us know.
So, until our next video, this is Gary.
Sharon here.
Rough
Road
Road
RV
behind us.
life. Yeah. Rough Road over here, and our dogs are sleeping. We like looking at freedom.
Yep.
Every day.
Yeah, we got to pack up today because tomorrow's supposed to be a rainy day because that Hurricane Delta, that was
Yeah.
the name of it? Hurricane Delta, I think, winding its way up. And we're not going to get it, but we're in Tennessee. We may get rain. Well, we're
Yeah.
supposed to get rain from it, so I'm going to pack everything up today so it doesn't get wet.
So,
Don't like packing wet stuff.
so we're gonna go start packing up some things today, so
Yep.
tomorrow will be easier, and we'll see you on the road.
Stay safe.
Safe travels.
Take care.